Moving into a new home should feel like a fresh start. That's exactly what it was supposed to be for me and my wife, Emily. After years of renting apartments in loud cities, we finally found a beautiful rental home in a peaceful suburban neighborhood called Willow Creek. Tree-lined streets, trimmed lawns, and a lake just 3 blocks away. It felt like a dream. The house was perfect. The landlord was easygoing, and the rent was fair. We signed a year-long lease, sent over our references, and were approved without any issues. We were just tenants, not buyers, but to us, this was home, at least we thought it would be. Enter Karen. We met her the very first morning we moved in, as I was carrying a box labeled kitchen stuff into the garage. She came striding across our front lawn like she owned the earth under her feet. Mid-50s sun visor, clipboard, the full Karen's starter pack. "Excuse me?" she said, tight-lipped. "Are you the new owners?" I smiled, already sensing where this was going. "Nope, we're renting." That one word, renting, turned her expression from curious to furious. "Renting?" she repeated, like I had said we were starting. "A circus." "Yes," I said casually. "We signed a 1-year lease with the owner. Everything's filed and approved." Karen shook her head slowly, disapproving. "We don't allow renters here. This is a family-owned neighborhood." I raised an eyebrow. That wasn't in the bylaws or lease. Our landlord checked with the HOA before signing. Everything's legal. She didn't like that. She huffed, scribbled something on her clipboard, and walked off without another word. At first I tried to brush it off. Every neighborhood has someone like her, right? But it didn't stop. Over the next week, we found anonymous notices taped to our door, accusations of noise complaints, even though we hadn't unpacked our speakers. One letter warned that our unapproved window coverings violated HOA aesthetic codes. Emily and I laughed. They were standard white blinds. I caught Karen taking pictures of our driveway one morning while pretending to walk her dog. She sent us an email with a complaint about our trash bins being out too early. It was 6:30 a.m. On trash day, one night after a peaceful dinner on our patio, we heard a knock. It was her. "You have to find another place," she said, with a tone that suggested she thought this would be the end of it. Today, I stared at her. "Excuse me? You're not supposed to be here. You're renting. That goes against our community values. This isn't up for debate." I stood firm, trying to stay calm. "We're not leaving, Karen. This neighborhood doesn't belong to you." She narrowed her eyes. "No. I'll have you removed." I shut the door and took a deep breath. That's when I decided to stop being polite and start being smart. I gathered every email, every notice, every complaint she'd made. I documented the condition of the house, called my landlord, who was furious, not at me, but at Karen. Turns out, this wasn't the first time she'd gone on a power trip with new tenants. Next, I called the actual HOA office, not the President Karen claimed to be. I asked to speak to someone in legal affairs. After explaining everything, they were quiet for a moment before saying, "Karen doesn't have the authority to remove tenants. And there are no policies in our charter against renting, as long as leases are properly filed." A formal harassment complaint. The hearing was scheduled. Word got around the neighborhood fast. Turns out, we weren't the first people Karen had tried to scare away. One family moved out after just 3 months. Another renter had been falsely accused of damaging HOA property. People were finally talking. At the hearing, Karen showed up. With her usual smug confidence, showed up with documents, photos, and a printed copy of the HOA bylaws with highlighted sections, showing we were well within our rights. Karen tried to speak over me. The board shut her down. She accused me of being disruptive to the community. The board asked her for proof. She had none. I calmly presented every violation she'd made, from trespassing to false complaints to harassment. One by one, board members began nodding. A few looked downright embarrassed for her. The HOA legal rep finally said, "Karen, your behavior does not reflect the responsibilities of an HOA officer. Your actions were inappropriate, unfounded, and have exposed this board to liability. Effective immediately, you are being removed from any leadership role." Silence. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. "Apology," No words. She just got up and left the meeting. Afterward, neighbors started approaching us. One older gentleman said, "You handled that with class. It's about time someone stood up to her." Another woman brought over homemade cookies. Welcome to the neighborhood, officially. Emily and I stood on our porch that night and looked around. For the first time, it felt like home. We didn't fight fire with fire. We fought it with facts, patience, and calm determination. And we won, because when someone tries to scare you into running, the strongest move is to stand your ground and stay right where you belong.